Every year, Call of Duty becomes less Call of Duty. More and more game modes like Warzone and DMZ are introduced, while less and less attention is given to what actually made Call of Duty popular in the first place. Traditional 6v6 arena multiplayer. That fast-paced, non-stop action that got a whole generation of players addicted back in the golden age of the game. But Call of Duty doesn't seem to want to be that type of game anymore. For example, with Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2022, it took Infinity Ward about 5 months to release a single new map for 6v6 multiplayer after the game launched. I wish I was joking. The game launched in October, got a couple remastered maps after that, and then got one new original 6v6 map halfway through March. And it's for this reason that the more recent games have left a lot to be desired from people like myself. Or in other words, people who are fans of Call of Duty, not fans of Warzone or DMZ or Raids or even Rocket League, even though there's nothing necessarily wrong with any of those things. I'm talking about people who like good old-fashioned, red-blooded Call of Duty. 6v6, casual, fast-paced, and just flat-out fun.
Call of Duty.
Well, after years of disappointment, I think we might have finally caught a break. This is xdefiant. I know, right off the bat, you're skeptical. It's okay, it's good to be skeptical, but I think we've actually got a few pretty compelling reasons to be cautiously excited for this game to release. And no, this video isn't sponsored at all. I'm just genuinely interested in this game, and I think at the moment it's getting a pretty bad rap online. I did play in one of the closed betas a while back, and I actually had a lot of fun with it, so I wanted to put this video together to make my case for it. But before we get into the good stuff, here are the basic details of the game, just in case you didn't know about it until now. xdefiant is a free-to-play first-person arena shooter being developed by Ubisoft San Francisco. According to the developers, the game's main focus is satisfying gunplay and in-depth class customization. So there's a class system in the form of factions, and it seems like they took the Apex Legends route here, if you're familiar with how the Legends work in that game. Each class has a passive ability, a tactical ability, and an ultimate, or as they call them, traits, abilities, and ultras. And as you might imagine, the factions are designed to complement different playstyles. It's also worth noting that the factions are themed after other Ubisoft Tom Clancy IP, like Splinter Cell and The Division. Personally, I've never really been into any of those games, but hey, they look pretty cool here. So your faction will determine your passive abilities, equipment, and ultimate ability, but you also have gun customization, which is completely separate from your faction. So you'll be able to pick a primary and secondary weapon along with weapon attachments that slightly modify the gun's stats to more finely tune it to your playstyle. And I want to mention that even though the game does have these crazy abilities that come along with the faction system, according to the developers, the game is a shooter above all else. So it seems like they're putting a strong emphasis on moment-to-moment gunplay. So that's the basic idea of the game. At the moment, it doesn't have a release date, but I do know that they're still doing closed beta testing, and Ubisoft does seem like they're committed to only releasing the game when it's actually ready. Unfortunately, there was a bit of controversy that came out after the game's reveal. A lot of people were rightly bothered that Ubisoft was still using Tom Clancy's name to sell products, even though he had passed away and really has almost nothing to do with games like xdefiant. People also didn't like the punk rock aesthetic that they were going for and felt like that was especially clashing with the use of Tom Clancy's name. I don't know if they ever made an official statement on any of this, but they did update most of the game's branding and have removed Tom Clancy's name from what I can tell. And like I said, I've never really been into any Tom Clancy stuff, but they definitely did the right thing here. They also appear to be moving away from the whole punk rock aesthetic from the reveal in favor of something a little more generic, which I have to say, personally, I'm not crazy about it. I thought the punk rock thing was unique and fun, but it seems like most people prefer it this way. So why am I telling you that you, as a Call of Duty player, should be excited for this game? Well, let's start with the gameplay. If I had to put this game on a scale between Black Ops 2 and Modern Warfare 2022, it would be heavily leaning on the side of Black Ops 2. I think there are a lot of Call of Duty day ones out there who've been playing the game since the golden era and feel disenfranchised with the game nowadays. Those are the players that I think will like this game the most. It just has such a fun, fast-paced, arcadey feel to it. But at the same time, I don't think they're trying to just rip off classic COD. They're putting their own spin on it via the faction system, which kind of makes the game feel like a cross between classic COD and something like Overwatch. And you might be thinking that what I just described is Black Ops 4, and yes, you're right. xdefiant plays a lot like Black Ops 4, with the main differences being bringing a faster time to kill, more unique abilities, and hopefully a less egregious monetization scheme. If you've seen any of my codology videos, which I'll go ahead and link below by the way, then you know that movement is very important to me in a Call of Duty game. Now, I'm not going to sit here and say that this game will have amazing movement, but I can say that it's fast and fluid. Where modern COD has slowed down movement speed, slide speed, nerfed jump shotting, bunny hopping, and so many other things, xDefiant wants to speed you up as opposed to keep you tied down at every turn. They actually want to create the thing that scares Infinity Ward to its very core. A skill gap. And speaking of skill, there's another huge thing that I wanted to mention here. There will be no skill-based matchmaking in xDefiant public matches. And we know this because it's something that Ubisoft have flat out stated on Twitter. SBMM has been a taboo topic for Call of Duty developers for years now. It's something that the community talks about ad nauseum because of the massively negative impact that it has on the game. And yet the developers have never even mentioned its existence a single time. Now, my theory is that their SBMM system is actually much more manipulative than just matchmaking based on skill. And that's why they don't want to talk about it, because they'd either have to lie or come clean. But the point is, this is a huge part of the game nowadays, and we get zero transparency from Call of Duty. But here we have Ubisoft coming out plain and clear saying that SBMM will not exist in xDefiant pubs. And instead, there's just going to be some form of team balancing after a lobby is created, which honestly seems necessary. Whether or not this will bring back the casual feeling of old COD remains to be seen, but this is a huge step in the right direction, and I can't overstate how much I appreciate them just being honest and upfront about it. In the game's reveal, the developers claimed that they wanted to be transparent with players, so it's nice to know that they might actually be following through with that here. The last thing I want to talk about in this video is that the game is an arena shooter, and as far as we know, the arena shooter aspect of the game will be receiving 100% of the developers' focus. I mentioned in the beginning of the video that Modern Warfare 2 took 5 months to put a new core multiplayer map into the game after launch. And that's because during those 5 months, there were a million other modes in the game that were getting all the content. It would be impossible for that to happen in xDefiant because all of the focus is on the arena game mode. As for what the content output will actually look like, we don't know, but at least we know what they're focused on. The game is an arena shooter, not a battle royale, not an extraction shooter or anything else. So hopefully that means that all their time and attention will go to what matters most to the fans of the genre. In conclusion, as a Call of Duty veteran, I am very excited for this game. And I know that people are skeptical, to put it lightly. I've seen this game getting a lot of hate online, from the Tom Clancy controversy to just a general distrust of Ubisoft as a publisher. And who knows, maybe the game comes out and it is a total disaster. But I'm feeling optimistic. Plus, the game is going to be free to play, so if you're interested, then you really have nothing to lose. Call of Duty is no longer about the core multiplayer, and I think that's left a sizable hole in the FPS industry, since there isn't really any classic Call of Duty substitute out there. I think xDefiant could possibly fill that void. It's fast-paced, unique, has no skill-based matchmaking, is focused on being an arena shooter, and it's free to play. So here's to hoping that this video does not age poorly. Thank you for watching, and stay gold.